Hi, my friends. Today I want to present you a new story. Enjoy watching it. The faint hum of fluorescent lights buzzed above as I sat in my cramped office, staring at the screen filled with lines of code. It had taken me 3 years to reach this moment, a fully functional AI system capable of defending networks against even the most sophisticated cyber attacks. I leaned back, rubbing my temples when the sharp knock on my door shattered my concentration. "Robert," came a voice, smooth yet laced with authority. Patrick, my boss, stood in the doorway, his tailored suit immaculate as always. His smile didn't reach his eyes. For a moment, I nodded, gesturing for him to enter. He stepped in, shutting the door behind him with deliberate care. "This AI system," Patrick began pacing slowly, "is groundbreaking, revolutionary even. The board is eager to see results." "Of course," I replied, keeping my voice steady. "The neural network's adaptive algorithms will change the game entirely. I'll be ready for the board meeting next week." Patrick stopped pacing, turning to face me. "That's the thing, Robert. I need you to send me all the documentation, every line of code, every test result, by tonight." Something in his tone made my stomach tighten. "I prefer to present it myself. The technical nuances require that." "That won't be necessary," Patrick cut me off, his tone turning colder. "The board trusts my judgment. They don't need a deep dive into the mechanics." For a moment, I hesitated, scanning his face. His expression was unreadable, but his insistence rang alarm bells. I forced a smile. "Understood, I'll send it over." Patrick's smile widened, though it felt more like a predator baring his teeth. "Good man, I knew I could count on you." He patted my shoulder before leaving the room. The door clicked shut, and I exhaled slowly. Years of dedication, innovation, and late nights, all that risk. I opened my secure folder, encrypting key files with a hidden failsafe I had designed months ago. If Patrick thought he could take credit for my work, he was sorely mistaken. That night, as I prepared the files, my phone buzzed. It was Nora from the compliance team. Her message was concise yet alarming. "Emergency meeting tomorrow at 9 a.m. I stared at the screen, dread coiling in my chest. Something told me this wasn't going to be an ordinary day. The conference room was oppressively silent, save for the soft hum of the air conditioning. I sat at the far end of the long polished table, flanked by 2 security guards who stood with arms crossed, their gazes fixed ahead. Patrick sat at the head, his expression calm but laced with a smug undertone that made my skin crawl. "Robert," he began, his voice dripping with feigned disappointment, "it has come to our attention that you've been using company resources for personal projects." I kept my face neutral, even as my pulse quickened. "That's not true," I replied firmly. "Every hour, every file has been dedicated to the AI system." Patrick leaned back in his chair, clasping his hands together. "Unfortunately, the evidence suggests otherwise. Unauthorized logins, encrypted folders. Care to explain?" I glanced at Nora, who sat stiffly in the corner, her lips pressed into a thin line. Her eyes met mine briefly, a flicker of something unspoken passing between us. "Betrayal." "No warning?" "This is a misunderstanding," I said, forcing my voice to remain steady. "All my work has been documented appropriately. If you let me." Patrick cut me off with a sharp wave of his hand. "Enough, the board has already been informed, and we've decided to terminate your employment effective immediately. Security will escort you out." For a moment, the words hung in the air, heavy and surreal. Then, with deliberate movements, I stood, gathering the few belongings I had brought to the meeting. As the guards moved to flank me, I turned to Patrick. "You're making a mistake," I said evenly, though my heart thundered in my chest. "This project, my project, will speak for itself." Patrick's smirk deepened. "I'm sure it will." As I exited the building, the weight of betrayal burned in my chest, but beneath it, a cold determination began to take hold. The hum of my laptop filled the dimly lit room as I sifted through weeks of emails, timestamps, and logs. Every file was a thread, and I was weaving them into a net, one I hoped would catch Patrick before he could destroy everything. My phone buzzed, breaking my focus. It was Nora. "We need to talk," she said, her voice urgent. Half an hour later, Nora sat across from me in a quiet cafe. She placed a small USB drive on the table between us. "This is everything I could find," she whispered. "Meeting transcripts, internal emails, even the original project proposal you submitted. Patrick's been covering his tracks, but he missed a few things." I picked up the drive, my fingers tightening around it. "Why are you helping me?" Her eyes met mine, unwavering. Because what he's doing is wrong, and because I've seen him do it before. What do you mean? At his last company, Patrick pulled the same stunt, stole a developer's work, then erased their records. That guy tried to fight back, but Patrick made sure there was no evidence left. I don't want that to happen to you. I nodded, a spark of gratitude flaring in my chest. Thank you, Nora, this means more than you know. As I walked back to my apartment, the weight of the USB in my pocket felt heavier than it should. Back at my desk, I plugged it in and opened the files. Nora wasn't exaggerating. The documents were a gold mine, meeting notes where Patrick claimed credit for my ideas, drafts of the project proposal with my name conspicuously removed, and most damning of all, emails between Patrick and the board discussing my dismissal weeks before it happened. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the screen. This wasn't just about clearing my name. This was about exposing Patrick for who he truly was, a fraud and a thief. And now, I had the proof to do it. The morning of the board meeting arrived. I sat in my small apartment, a cup of coffee growing cold on the table beside me. My eyes were fixed on the live feed that Nora and I had set up, streaming directly from the conference room. Executives shuffled in, their chatter muted by the anticipation hanging in the air. At the head of the table, Patrick adjusted his tie, his confident smirk a sharp contrast to the storm brewing beneath the surface. Ladies and gentlemen, Patrick began to address the room. Today I am proud to present the culmination of months of innovation, a revolutionary AI system capable of safeguarding our networks like never before. I clenched my fists, my heart pounding. The countdown on my laptop ticked away, 2 minutes until activation. Patrick clicked through slides, each one a hollow reflection of my work. This system represents a leap forward in cybersecurity, he continued, his voice dripping with feigned authority. Under his guidance, this project has. The screen behind him flickered. A voice echoed from the speakers, clear and unmistakable. Initiating security protocol. Patrick froze. What the hell is this? He hissed, his confident facade cracking. The display shifted, revealing side-by-side comparisons of my original code and Patrick's clumsy modifications. Timestamps and email headers flashed across the screen, each one a damning piece of evidence. The room erupted in whispers as the system continued. Unauthorized changes detected. Source, Patrick Coleman. What is going on? Demanded one of the board members, his sharp tone cutting through the chaos. Patrick fumbled with the laptop, his face pale. It's a sabotage attempt, actually. Nora's voice rang out as she stepped into the room. It's exactly what the AI was designed to do, identify and expose security threats, and it seems the biggest threat was sitting at this table. Gasps filled the room as she handed a stack of documents to the board chairman. These are the original development logs and evidence of Patrick stealing the work. The real creator of this system is Robert Evans. The chairman scanned the papers, his face hardening. Mr. Coleman, you have a lot to explain. Patrick's voice wavered. This is a setup, that's not the system. Interrupted, fraud detected. User Patrick Coleman is locked out of all operations. I sat back, watching the chaos unfold. Patrick's empire was crumbling, and for the first time in weeks, I felt the weight lifting from my shoulders. Hours after the board meeting, I found myself sitting across from Charles, the chairman, in a polished conference room. The evidence Nora and I had collected lay neatly on the table between us. Through the glass walls, I could see the Cyber Protection logo, a reminder of both the betrayal I had endured and the redemption I was now pursuing. Robert, Charles began, his tone measured. The board has reviewed the findings. Patrick's actions were inexcusable, and his dismissal is already in motion, but we're here to discuss your future. I nodded, my heart steady for the first time in weeks. I only want what's fair. My work deserves to stand as it was intended, not diluted by someone else's greed. Charles leaned forward. We couldn't agree more. That's why we're offering you the position of Chief Technology Officer, full control of the AI's development and patent rights under your name. I paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. On one condition, I said, Nora joins me as head of the ethics division. She's proven her integrity and courage, qualities this company needs. Charles smiled faintly. Consider it done. The next morning, I walked through the familiar halls of cyber protection, past stunned colleagues and whispered conversations. Patrick's office was empty now, a fitting symbol of the downfall he had orchestrated himself. Instead, a new nameplate adorned the door. Robert Evans, Chief Technology Officer. Nora met me outside my office, her smile warm. Feels good, doesn't it? She asked. It does, I admitted, but this isn't just about vindication, it's about setting things right. She nodded. And we will, together. As I settled into my new role, the AI system quickly became an industry standard, not just for its unparalleled cybersecurity, but for its built-in ethical safeguards. Every time it exposed a breach, I felt a quiet satisfaction, knowing it stood as a testament to integrity. And Patrick? Last I heard, he was drowning in lawsuits, his reputation beyond repair. He had tried to erase me from my creation, but in the end, it was his name that disappeared. Sometimes, justice doesn't need to be loud, sometimes it's simply about the truth shining brighter than the lies. Friends, what do you think of this story? Write your opinion in the comments. Would you like more stories? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button so you don't miss any videos. See you tomorrow.